Hey Shore students, we hope you guys are all doing awesome today. Welcome to this edition of Shore Students at Home.
Yeah, we are on our fifth week of the Forward series, as you know, and Pastor Ron has been taking us through this faith journey with Abraham, and we've been studying through that. But this week, Abraham is really put to the test. I mean, for real this time. This week's study is called Sacrificing Your Isaac. So what that means is God is going to ask Abraham to sacrifice his promised son, Isaac. So let's read Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 through 2, and see how this story goes. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he answered. "Take your son," he said, "your only son Isaac, whom you love. Go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about." So this is crazy. Abraham has been waiting for years and years and years for God to fulfill this promise. And then God says, "Hey, I want you to sacrifice your son." I mean, wow, this is just crazy. What would you do in this situation? I mean, how would you react? I know, like, my faith is not that strong to react properly to this.
Yeah, mine, same. So right now we're going to go and check out Abraham's reaction in Genesis 22:3. So Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took with him 2 of his young men and his son Isaac. He split wood for a burnt offering and set out to go to the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Then Abraham said to his young men, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there to worship. Then we'll come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac. In his hand he took the fire and the sacrificial knife, and the 2 of them walked on together. Then Isaac spoke to his father Abraham and said, "My father." And he replied, "Here I am, my son." Isaac said, "The fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." Then the 2 of them walked on together. When they arrived at the place that God had told him about, Abraham built the altar there and arranged the wood. He bound his son Isaac and placed him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out and took the knife to slaughter his son. So we see here that Abraham responded in perfect faith. He trusted God and trusted what he was saying. He trusted that God was going to hold true to his promise. We even see that Abraham obviously taught his son Isaac to trust the Lord, because he wasn't fighting his dad trying to not get bound and put on this altar. He was obeying him and listening.
Yeah, this story is almost unbelievable. But let's read the last part and see exactly what God does. "But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, 'Abraham, Abraham.' He replied, 'Here I am.' Then he said, 'Do not lay a hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your only son from me.' Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram, offered it as a burnt offering in that place for his son. And Abraham named that place, 'The Lord will provide.' So today it is said, 'It will be provided on the Lord's mountain.'" So all of this was a test. God was testing the faith of Abraham. And I wrote it down exactly like this. It says, God looked at Abraham and said, "I have big plans for you. I know you will trust me in everything, but I need you to know it as well. This will be a moment you will always remember. You will always know that you can and will trust me." So God was not testing Abraham to see if he could trust him. God knew he could trust Abraham. He needed Abraham to know how much he actually trusted God. And so that's why God put his faith to the test. So what does this mean for us? What is our Isaac? Could we and would we sacrifice it for God? So think about this and answer this for yourself.
So here are 3 things that can help us identify what our Isaac is. So the first one is God is worthy of our sacrifice. So we're dead in our sins, but God sent Jesus as the ultimate sacrifice to pay the penalty for our sins by dying on the cross. So we see that God already provided a replacement for us.
Yeah, and the second one is this: we can trust God with everything. If Abraham can trust God with the life of his promised son, we can trust God with our all. Right? Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you. This is the Lord's declaration. Plans for your welfare, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope."
So the third one is he is looking for us to be a living sacrifice. So he wants us to give ourselves on the altar and to give ourselves just completely to him. So Romans 12:1 says, "Therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, I urge you to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual worship." So just like God did with Abraham and Isaac, he can say to us, "Go and live for me. I've provided my son as your replacement."
Yeah, so the 3 things that will help you identify your Isaac are these: God is worthy of our sacrifice. we can trust God with everything, and he is looking for us to be a living sacrifice. So let's go out and live our lives to honor and glorify God. Let's figure out what our Isaac is and lay it on the altar and give it over to God. So that's all we have for you guys today. We love you. We miss you guys. We'll see you later.